really is hard to comprehend the intensity, the dedication, the loneliness, and the physical expenditure that goes into the sport of wrestling.
It's physical. I mean, you can tell my face. I mean, it looks like I've been hit by a Mack truck.
Of the competition. 9 gold medals, 13 overall. It was over, but the capacity crowd called for the architect of the team's unprecedented performance. Coach Dan Gable, a legend in his sport as a performer, and now a legend as a coach. Not only of the Olympic team of '84, but of the University of Iowa. This is today's Dan Gable, coaching in his own style, teaching the same training, intensity, and dedication that carried him to a gold medal in the Olympics of 1972. Gable is brusque, demanding, often controversial, but his formula is successful, wildly so. And tonight, even before the finals get underway, Dan Gable's Iowa Hawkeye team has locked up an 8th straight NCAA team championship. And with the team title all locked up once again in amazing fashion by Iowa University, we're ready now for the individual NCAA wrestling championships, and that is indeed why we are here. Hello again, everyone. I'm Frank Gifford, speaking to you from Marriott Convention Center in downtown Oklahoma City. There is a wild and enthusiastic crowd that is beginning to file into this large hall, and they are a typical collegiate wrestling crowd. They are knowledgeable, they're excitable, and as you will hear a little later on, they are very, very partisan. They have witnessed some great matches coming into these finals tonight, so there's a tremendous air of anticipation. And just outside this hall, there's a different kind of air of anticipation as the finalists are gathered in the waiting room, the staging room, if you will, for their call to the mat. A man that has been there before, many times before, will be working with me tonight, Mark Lieberman, former Lehigh University star, who made the most of that staging area 2 times in his collegiate career as an NCAA champion at 177 pounds in 1978 and 79. He was a gold medalist in World Cup competition, a gold medalist at the Pan Am Games, so he does indeed know what it's all about. Tell us the emotions they're feeling at this moment, Mark.
In the quiet of this warm-up area, our 20 national finalists will wait and wonder what fortune has in store for them. For 10 of them, it will be a national collegiate championship. For the other 10, the agony and frustration that goes with defeat. But most of all, they'll be trying to convince themselves that they have prepared properly for this tournament, that they are ready to do battle with the very best, that they are willing to risk all their winnings on one trip to the mat to become a national champion.
And the risk is already paid off for Ricky Bonomo of Bloomsburg University. He defeated Matt Eglin at 118 pounds. Matt Eglin of the University of Iowa. Right now, we're in round 3 at 126 pounds. Is Barry Davis of Iowa against Joe McFarland of Michigan. Davis leading 5-4. And, of course, in collegiate wrestling, as we look at Davis in the down position, in collegiate wrestling, there are 3 rounds. The first round is 3 minutes long. The second and third rounds are each of 2-minute duration. Joe McFarland has lost twice to Davis during this past season, once for the Big Ten title, and we asked him about his feelings into tonight's match.
It's easy to get up for this one, because it's probably the biggest match I've ever had in my life. So I'll be up for it. And regardless whether he beat me or not, I'm going to try to put that out of my head and just go out and take it to him.
Well, it may be out of McFarland's head, but right now, here in the third round, he is losing 5-4. Barry Davis on the bottom, McFarland on top, and it is very difficult, though, having been beaten twice, Mark Lieberman, to come back and defeat an athlete certainly of Barry Davis's caliber.
Davis is unbelievably well conditioned, and McFarland knows he's going to have to score some unusual points in order for him to pull off a big upset. Davis is considered the best conditioned athlete on the Hawkeye team, and that's saying something. Here, Davis up to his feet, gets a 1-point escape. Of course, that spreads his lead to 6-4, and really puts the heat on Joe McFarland to get some action going and score some points. He's going to have to score a takedown, that is, take his opponent down to the mat and bring him under control. If he can do that, he scores 2 points, and that would tie up the match 6-6. So Joe McFarland has a big job cut out for him.
Big job indeed against the silver medalist from Los Angeles last summer, Barry Davis. In the final round, score remains 6-4, Barry Davis.
Davis in on a single leg. He's got good position. His head and back is up. He's got to bring his opponent down to the mat to score a 2-point takedown. Now, of course, McFarland has turned and kicked out. He got away. That was real important for Joe McFarland. No points scored, and he's got to get back into the match. He's got to score points. There's Mark Chiarella, 3-time national champion, who is Joe McFarland's personal coach.
Oh, and Davis is in again. Oh, Davis with the takedown. The 2-point takedown by Barry Davis. That should just about wrap this match up. Barry Davis, like all Dan Gable athletes, they are tough in the final period. They just never seem to wind down, and Barry Davis is a winner at 126 pounds. Tough youngster. His third victory this year over Joe McFarland, and a convincing one indeed. Also his third NCAA title. He won in 82, 83, took 84 off to compete for the Olympics, and he has won again. Let's take a look at that key takedown. Final moments of the third period.
Barry does a nice job getting the single leg, and here he lifts it up in the air, gets 2 legs, easy takedown, really well executed. Nice shot by Barry Davis.
So in less than a year, the Dan Gable coach Barry Davis has known the thrill of a silver medal in the Olympics of '84 and another NCAA title. Greatness. Some of the champions they cheered on last summer are still contributing to their sport, such as Bruce Baumgartner. He's an assistant coach at Edinburgh State. Dave Schultz is an assistant coach at Stanford University. But the entire nation joined wrestling fans in some very dramatic moments with this man, Greco-Roman heavyweight champion Jeff Blatner. Who will ever forget this interview with Russ Hellickson after his victory?
2 years ago, you had cancer. You now gold medal. It must feel great. I'm happy, dude. Well, the crowd is happy with you too, Jeff. The crowd's happy with you too. Great job, Jeff. I'm sorry I can't talk. That's all right.
There's times when I'm on a plane where I just kick back and I just can't believe my schedule now and what has happened to me and the opportunities I've received. I mean, I've gone from nowhere to all of a sudden a public speaker. And it's different. You know, I went to school to be a teacher, and I suppose that's just what I'm doing now. I'm trying to get out there, do my talks, but also teach people about wrestling, teach people about cancer, and hopefully out of all this, everyone will benefit, including myself.
I think that probably was one of the biggest things that came out of your victory was the fact that you don't have to give up with cancer. You can come back and you can win, and I think you've preached this and you've taught this, and it's really been accepted. When you go around the country, are you recognized readily?
Well, there's quite a few times people will pick me off. Usually when I'm traveling, you kind of like to stay a little bit quiet, but you know, a lot of people know who I am. That's the power of television, obviously, and it's a very unique feeling, and again, I feel very, very lucky that I got chosen. Again, there could have been any one of the other wrestlers who did a real good job, but since it was me and I had kind of a background story, you know, especially with the cancer, I suppose that really helped me out. But you know, yeah, cancer can get beaten, but cancer is only one problem. People face all kinds of problems on their road to their goal, and you know, regardless of what their adversity is, you know, you just got to stand up to it and stay positive through it. And if you keep your head down and not looking where you're going, and obviously it teaches you to keep your head up.
If ever a sport had an ambassador of goodwill, wrestling certainly has one in this man, Jeff Blatner. Coming up shortly, the third round at 134 pounds, John Smith in against Jim Jordan of Wisconsin. Jim Jordan, 6th in the NCAA a year ago, and we asked him earlier what it would be like to win this title. Here's his reply.
To me, the NCAA championship is more important than any, right now, it's more important than any international title would be. NCAA has been my number one goal, and that's it in wrestling as far as I'm concerned, is winning that national title.
Jimmy Jordan has family support here in the crowd tonight. There are his parents, John and Shirley, his sister Jennifer looking on. We're in the third period at 134 pounds. Jimmy Jordan from Wisconsin leading John Smith from Oklahoma State by a score of 4-3. They met twice this year. Mark Lieberman, interesting scores, 10-3, a Jordan victory, a 1-0 loss to John Smith by Jordan.
Jordan's victory came early in the year, while Smith's 1-0 dual meet win was more indicative of the closeness of this rivalry. Here we've got Jordan working to get a reversal. He's turned around and he's been able to get a single leg. He's going to try and get a double. Now he has both legs. He's going to try and get a reversal. He's real close.
He's got it. The 2-point reversal. 6-3 now. Jimmy Jordan leading in this final period.
Jordan went right away to the half Nelson position, looking for an opportunity to turn his opponent. But all this while, the riding time clock is ticking away, with Jordan gaining the advantage. If he rides his opponent for more than 1 minute during this match, he will gain an extra point for riding time.
Time now becoming a factor for John Smith from Oklahoma State. And he continues to ride, does Jimmy Jordan. They'll move back to the center of the mat once again. Jimmy Jordan's parents, John and Shirley, and his sister Jennifer. He was sixth, as I mentioned earlier, in the NCAA a year ago, and he would really like to take the title, and he is getting very close.
Jordan is just working to hang on. He doesn't want to do anything. And here he's called for it. Smith gets 1 point for Jordan stalling. That's an important call because that narrows his lead. Jordan now knows that he's got to stay aggressive during these last 15 seconds.
Interesting aspect of wrestling. You just have to keep going no matter what kind of a lead you have. There is no stalling or you'll lose points.
Smith is almost out, was almost able to turn and square, and now Jordan back in on the legs. Jordan's just content to control the rest of the bout.
And this is over at 134 pounds. Jimmy Jordan from Wisconsin is the winner. John, Shirley, mother and father, along with sister Jennifer, sharing in the victory. Perhaps the 2 key points coming on a reversal here in the third period. Let's take a look at it once again.
Jordan needed this reversal to maintain his control in the match, and he got it in a scramble situation, facing his opponent, and then forcing his opponent to release his lock on his leg and scoring the 2 points.
The final score, 7-4. Jimmy Jordan over John Smith. He picked up an extra point for riding time. Being congratulated by head coach Russ Hellickson. Here's his mother, Shirley. And families do go through so much agony and pain with their athlete during the course of the long season, and it's great to celebrate the final victory. We'll be back a little later with more of the NCAA Wrestling Championships.
Tennessee. After an action-filled first period, Edmond leads Capone by a score of 8-2. Our wrestling expert, Mark Lieberman, now takes a look at the key scoring moves from that first period.
It's a nice lateral drop. Capone was off balance. Edmond did a nice job of taking him right to his back to pick up a takedown and 2 points for a near fall. Now in the second near fall, we see Edmond again using that great hip power to pick his opponent right off the mat, pull his head right down, turn him right over to his back. That's just beautiful technique.
But these great moves by Chris Edmond all happened before he took a tremendous shot on the head that really dazed him. There is Tennessee coach Ray Simons looking on. Chris Edmond of Tennessee has a commanding 8-2 lead over Pete Capone of Hofstra. A couple of New Yorkers, both of them seniors, and Edmond has elected here in the second period to begin on top.
Right away, Pete Capone comes back up to his feet. He is able to get wrist control there and does break away to get his 1 point escape.
8-3 now, Edmond over Capone.
Capone has to get something going, some kind of offense going here. He's been so frustrated he hasn't been able to get on the scoreboard offensively other than 3 escapes.
Seems like, though, Mark, every time he tries to do something, at least in the first period, Edmond would counter it and really had him in danger of a fall a couple of times.
Edmond's technique is really nice. It's typical of the explosive wrestler. There, Edmond is warned for stalling, but his technique is very typical of the explosive wrestler. Look at this again. Here again, he's using his leverage, using his power to take Pete Capone right down to the mat, right down to his back, and he's able to hold him here this time. He'll get 2 points for the takedown, plus 3 points for the near fall.
There it is, 13-3. That explosiveness of Edmond once again. Really, it must be frustrating for Capone. He makes a move and Edmond counters.
I don't think he had expected having this tough of a match. I don't think anybody expected this quality of competition here in the NCAA Finals.
A little over a minute remaining here in the second period. 13-3, Edmond on top.
Capone again working to get wrist control. He's up on his feet. He's going to have to peel those wrists off. Here he is. There he's got the 1 point escape.
13-4 now, Edmond.
Again, Edmond now is in a position, he's really in the driver's seat. He's in a position to sit back a little bit and let Capone keep making the mistakes. He doesn't have to get too offensive.
Yeah, but in any sport, Mark, you get a commanding lead, momentum goes your way, you really can't sit back.
No, Frank, you've got to stay aggressive. But we can see here, we can watch Chris Edmond and see that he is getting a little more cautious in his action. You can see him backing up there. he's a little more sensitive to the fact that he doesn't have to do all the action. And he knows that if Capone keeps shooting the way he's been, he's going to keep scoring, keep capitalizing on those mistakes.
Clock is moving with 20 seconds remaining here in the 2-minute second period. 13-4, Edmond over Capone, and Edmond is slowing down somewhat in the final seconds here. 11 seconds now remaining in the second period. And a frustrated Pete Capone. 10 seconds.
You can see Capone still looking for a shot, still staying aggressive. Almost a single leg. Here's Capone back in control. He's going to get a takedown and near fall points.
Boy, and he almost had the fall as time ran out in the second period, but Capone picks up 4 points. 2 points for the takedown, 2 points for the near fall, and he's got a decidedly different match. 13-8 now. Look at it again.
Pete Capone takes advantage of a Chris Edmond technical error right at the end of the second period, almost scores a fall. You can see him putting his opponent right to his back, and here clamping down and holding him there. Only the clock saved Chris Edmond from the fall.
We have a new match now as we go into the final 2 minutes.
Edmond almost had a reversal there. Capone is holding on, trying to maintain control, and does a nice job scrambling with it to maintain the top position. He almost lost not only control, but he was in bad shape. He was in trouble getting back points against him.
Mark, it did appear as though Edmond was tiring a little bit toward the end of the second period.
I think he's losing a little bit of his momentum. Certainly Capone throwing him on his back was a part of that whole thing, but you can see him here. He's just kind of bracing, trying not to get turned. He's not being very offensive. He knows he has to get out from the bottom and get something going, because if Capone stays on top of him long enough, he'll be able to turn him and get back points.
There's a stalling point. The crowd rumbling in the background. You heard it, and the stalling point awarded to Capone, so it's 13-9 now, Edmond. Capone trying to turn Edmond.
Edmond looks like he's in a little bit of pain there. Capone is certainly working awfully hard on him.
13-9, Edmond over Capone. It's been a rough ride, however, for Edmond. Banged his head in the first period. Had to take time out. Recovered from that. Here in the third period, he appears to be tired. Edmond gets the 1 point for the escape to make it 14-9.
It's incredible how Edmond, even though he's exhausted, he's been hammered a couple times, he still has that power, able to stand up very easily. And look at the way he threw Pete Capone off right there.
Just tossed him aside. That's the time remaining. Not much action here in the third period.
It's amazing when you look at these two athletes to think they're both the same weight. At least they were when they weighed in. 167 pounds.
What a physically demanding sport wrestling is. Constant pace. And a stalling point now awarded to Capone as Edmond is detected stalling once again. And there's his coach, Ray Simons, on the sideline. 14 seconds remaining in the match, and 14-10, Edmond over Capone.
Capone has nothing to lose here. He should try and go for the big throw, try and take him right to his back. He's got to go for something now.
Final seconds at 167 pounds. And now just 3 seconds remaining. They'll move to the center of the mat. 3 seconds remaining, and Chris Edmond will become the champion at 167 pounds. Chris Edmond, the winner. Both of these wrestlers upset the top seeds to get into these finals. Capone took out Lindsey Kistler of Iowa. He was second seed. And it was Edmond who took out Kevin Jackson, the number 1 seed from LSU. And Edmond has gone on to win the individual title at 167 pounds. He holds on to win over Pete Capone of Hofstra. To USC, Cromwell won 9 consecutive NCAA titles from 1935 to 43. Then there was John Wooden and his UCLA Bruins. 7 consecutive NCAA titles from 1967 to 1973. Both are memorable marks. And now, right there with those consecutive winning streaks is the 8 straight titles won by the University of Iowa and head coach Dan Gable. Gable has always been a winner. He has that rare gift for a head coach of being able to transfer his own talent physically and mentally to the minds and bodies of his young men. His personal high, a gold medal in the Games of Munich in 1972. Competing or coaching? I asked Dan about the motivation.
I'm probably more motivated now than I was then, just because
you have to be, because it's not within your own control. It's somewhat within your control, but not total control, because it's not you wrestling. So you have to instill in them a desire that you had if you had that desire.
I feel sorry for the other guy a lot of times because during a match, he's got to look over and see, Dan Gable in my corner, and I really think that's a big benefit for all our team as a whole, as individual too. Like, it affects the other guy, I think.
Dan Gable has used his fame and popularity in another positive way, attracting fans to the sport of wrestling.
Congratulations, Coach. Thanks. I'm really proud of our Olympic showing. Boys, the easy college days are over. What's next?
We're going into public relations and sales.
To get your season tickets, contact the Carver Hawkeye Arena or see my sales
Sure, I'd like to buy a ticket. I can buy 10 tickets.
But it isn't all a bed of roses for Dan. His overwhelming success has also been accompanied by his detractors. He's been accused of intimidating both the officials and other coaches. Here's his reply.
It's pretty understandable why people are upset with me, because they want to win too. And the people from the outside of Iowa, in terms of being away from the University of Iowa, it's almost like, hopefully it's not a hatred, but some things that are yelled at from the people in the stands, you think it's hatred. So, but yet again, when they leave the arena, I think these same people that are yelling at you sometimes are probably going to say, hey, he's doing a heck of a job.
Action once again at 190 pounds. Duane Goldman of Dan Gable's Iowa Hawkeyes leading 2-1 over Dan Chade of Oklahoma. And here at the start of the third period, Goldman allows the escape to bring it to 2-2.
Goldman must believe he can take Chade back down. Here he's right back in on a single leg, but he's not in good position. He's got his head down. I'm sure Coach Gable's not happy with that shot. And Chade's going to do a good job here defensing. He's got his leg out. He's got it free. And now it's Goldman who's in trouble. Chade's going to try and spin behind him to get the takedown. They're both battling for position right here.
We're tied at 2 here in the third period. Chade of Oklahoma, Goldman of Iowa.
They're both getting kind of tangled up. Here the referee stops it for a stalemate. Coach Dan Abel from Oklahoma looking on.
Dan Chade with plenty of motivation. His only loss this year was to Goldman. Dan Chade once thought about going to Iowa, but decided on Oklahoma instead. And earlier we asked him why.
I had an opportunity to go to the University of Iowa, and I didn't really want to become a part of that as much as I wanted to be a team that would come and beat them. And, that's one of the reasons I went to Oklahoma. And we got a good squad. We're working to beat the Hawkeyes all the time now. Going against them, Gable's a legend, and, Iowa this and that. And, hey, they're humans, They get out there, they got 2 arms, 2 legs, and, it's whoever wrestles the best that day.
Dan Chade of Oklahoma articulating what I feel a lot of wrestlers feel when they wrestle an Iowa opponent. They are also wrestling Dan Gable. We're in the third period. Dan Chade of Oklahoma, Duane Goldman of Iowa. We're tied at 2.
Goldman is certainly keeping that grueling Iowa pressure on. He's still attacking. He's going after single legs. That's real important. There's a very important call for stalling that penalizes Chade and gives 1 point to Duane Goldman. So all of a sudden he's leading 3-2.
And Chade is in on Goldman.
Back in on a single leg. He's not in good position here now. You notice his head's down. He doesn't have the leg very well, although he's making progress. He's got his head up. He's got the leg better off. No points yet. No points awarded. They're right at the edge. 2 points for a takedown. Right at the edge of the mat.
Chade leading now, 4-3. Time running out.
They're off the mat. 3 seconds to go. Coach Gable shaking his head. He can't believe this. This is Duane Goldman's 3rd trip to the finals. Here he is with 3 seconds left, and he's down 4-3.
And Dan Chade with a commanding lead in riding time. Blood trickling out of the mouth of Goldman. There it is. It's all over. The winner is Dan Chade of Oklahoma. And he'll pick up another point to win by 5-3 over Duane Goldman of Iowa. Dan Chade has waited a long time for this title. In front of hometown fans here in Oklahoma City, Dan Chade of Oklahoma is the NCAA wrestling champion at 190 pounds and a key takedown.
Chade does a nice job coming in off the single leg, getting Goldman to post his hands, weight on his hands. That's a 2-point takedown right at the edge.
And for Dan Gable, quite a disappointment. Right now, here's Mark with a fired-up Oklahoma Sooner.
Oh, man. Hey, you said you were going to pull this upset off, and you sure did.
What happened out there? How'd you capitalize on his mistake?
Hey, I'd say I just got mean. I grabbed him. I did everything I could to slow him down. I knew that if I just was psychologically tougher and heat, I would do it. I've been sick this whole tournament. I was sick last week. I had strep throat kind of and a lung cold. I couldn't breathe my first couple matches. And then I popped my rib yesterday. And hey, I've been winning through adversity, and I just knew that if you hang tough, you can do it. And it's true. It's a state of mind.
Gable's guys are beatable?
They're beatable. We're going to beat them.
Dan Chade from the University of Oklahoma is the champion at 190 pounds. We'll be back. He's made it 8 straight, 8 consecutive NCAA wrestling championships. They've also contributed immeasurably to the continuing growth of collegiate wrestling. But there were other champions.